Welcome, welcome. This is Allison at AllisonB Consulting. And first thing I want to do is I want to apologize. Hold on a second. It's been such a long time since I've done this. It's been such a long time since I've done this that I wasn't even sure how to do the setup anymore. It's like riding a bike, it comes back to you, but there's so many little pieces that I had to learn to do to turn off the volume or the mic in one area so there's not a background sound. So hopefully somebody is hearing me, somebody could hear me. If you could hear me, please indicate it in some way, maybe just a thumbs up or I could hear you. I'm going to try and see if I could check comments. Not exactly sure how to do this on here. Okay, there's the comment tab on one setting. I'm trying to stream from here and also stream from Instagram. So I'm trying to keep an eye on both sides. So please bear with me. I am a one-woman show here today. I'm a little bit nervous about doing this. I've done it a couple of times, but you forget. And it's been a while, it's just me. It's not a team. But I'm excited to present to you something there that I've been working on. Again, I'm hoping all of this is being recorded and you are hearing it. You're able to hear it because I turned off the volume on my end, but I didn't turn off the mic. So we shall see. Actually, I'm going to go on my phone and I'm going to check to see if I could see myself and to see if I am actually broadcasting. How about that? Let's try that. Actually, I'm not even sure how to find myself on Instagram. Okay, I'm freely confessing my ignorance on this. This is how tech savvy I actually am, that I'm not actually able to know how to do this, how to find myself and to see if I'm on live. Okay, don't know how to do it. All right, so hopefully somebody will let me know if I'm being heard. Okay, it's 3 minutes and I got to get started. I'm not going to be on long, but I wanted to share something that's been kind of a little bit troubling to me recently. For some of you who know me, I work a lot with adolescents, I work a lot with teenagers, I mentor and I coach. And one of the things I've been noticing, and this is not recent, this is going on for years, I've noticed that a lot of young ladies have lost the connection to their femininity. They're either full out rejecting it or they lean so heavily into it in the wrong way that it comes off as just being very, using it as a form of manipulation, as a form of, just being very flirtatious and provocative, and they believe that is the right way to be feminine and to be attractive to the opposite sex or to the person that they're interested in. And so we have these extremes. And I thought to myself, biblical femininity is such a beautiful thing. I want to say I'm not a feminist in the way it's described today. I'm a biblical feminist. I'm a woman who loves the I love being a woman. I love being a lady. I love that God has put me in this gender. And I believe there's so much strength in it. And it hurts my heart to see that others don't value it or don't understand the value of being a woman. So I wanted to kind of use some biblical examples. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to start in the Old Testament and see if anybody's tracking and following with me. If any of this resonates, please put a thumbs up, a heart, a signal, something that lets me know that you're hearing it and it makes sense. All right, I'm going to try not to. I'm going to try to be very structured. This is my commitment to once a month doing a live stream. I kind of fell down the last 2 months and I didn't do a live stream, but here I am. I'm trying to keep my commitment. So today we're going to talk about an Old Testament character. Her name is Aster. I'm pronouncing it probably wrong, but Judges 1. Ashka? Aster? Okay, whatever. let's call it AK for short, like AJ. Let's call it AK for short, just so I don't keep on butchering her name. But I love the title of today's talk is She Asked for Springs. She asked for springs. Okay. I'm laughing to myself because I remember when we were children, my sister would had a hard time saying the word ask, and she would say axe. She asks for springs. No, I think there's an ass in there. Ask for springs. So here's a quick story. Oscar Axa, that's it. Axa is her name. Axa was Caleb's daughter. Now, I'm not going to go through a whole biblical thing with you. If you don't know who these people are, you're going to have to go back to your Bible, open it up, and actually read it. It's not difficult. So Caleb was a mighty warrior. He made it into the promised land, and they had to fight. So what happened is he decided a good incentive to his men to fight and to conquer this area is to offer up his daughter as the prize. Hear me well, ladies. His daughter, Axa, was the prize. Well, these guys thought, wow, yeah, she's a prize. He must have known something, and they knew it too because they fought. And the one who conquered the area, his name was Othniel, he got Caleb's daughter as his wife. So when he sent her off with Othniel, he sent her off with a piece of land, which was a dowry. Well, she goes with him and sets up house like a good wife is supposed to. And these are just like 3 or 4 sentences in Judges 1. So it's not a long place. You could almost miss it. I think it's Judges 1. I want to say Judges 1:12 through like 16. I should have had it written down here, but I'll look it up later on. She realizes that it's great to have this dowry of land, but guess what? You can't grow much on land. I mean, you could put up a tent, you could set up a house on the land, which is good. You have a place to live, but they needed water. And it would have been fine if she didn't have an idea in her head to do something more with the land other than to put someplace up to live. So she said to her husband, hey, let's go back to good old dad and ask it to give us water rights. Clearly, there was areas where there was water, but they would have had his permission to tap the water and bring it onto their land. So they head back down to see dad. And when dad sees them coming, apparently, instead of talking to Othniel, he spoke directly to his daughter. He says, what do you want? What's going on? And she says, well, okay, we need water. He didn't argue with her. He says, okay, I'll give you the upper and the lower springs, not just rights to one area of water, but give rights to 2 areas of water. So she was able to get what she needed. I want to bring some things out from this story that I think are so important, because when we're talking about young girls, some of the reasons they reject their femininity is because they have some misunderstandings about it. And one of the misunderstandings I believe that they have about it is that how being a woman, being feminine, puts them in a position of weakness. It robs them of their voice. And in the case of Axa, that is not the case. So I want to go through my points a piece at a time. First point is the fact that she was the prize. Okay? That is so important to know that, ladies, we need to position ourselves always to be the prize. Now, that doesn't put us in a position of servitude. That doesn't put us in a position of weakness. Axa was a reward. I want to say that could have only been the case because she had lived in such a way in her father's household that he saw her worth and he saw her value. And he thought it was going to be important that other people would also know of this. So think about this. Are people able to see your value and see your, and just what are the behaviors, what are the things that you are engaging in, even in your house of origin, even in your family of birth, even in your community, in your home, that would allow people who know you best to recognize you and say, yeah, she's a prize. The guy who gets her is getting a good deal. He's getting something really good. And clearly it was known in the community because it wasn't a hidden secret. I imagine Caleb was out there saying, my daughter is, she is like someone who you would want as a wife. Okay. And apparently the community agreed with it because they did uh, go out and battle trying to win the prize. So think about that. Proverbs 31:10 says that she was more precious than rubies. If you know that you're the prize, it's not just enough to say, I'm the queen, I'm a prize. Yeah, I'm good. What are you basing that on? What are you basing that on? Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that too. The next point that I want to make is AXA went about getting the springs in a very specific way, and it had to do with the culture and it had to do with the times that she lived. In the times that she lived, which are different from today, women did have a voice, but there was a certain way that you had to go about things. She was no longer her father's daughter. She was now her husband's wife. So she couldn't disrespect her husband and just go directly to dad. That was no longer the person that she was depending on to be her provider and her protector. Now her provider and protector was Othniel. It would have been very disrespectful for her to say, oh, this is what I need, and not even sit down and consult with him and say, oh, it's my dad, I'll just go talk to him. She would have had to talk to her husband and say, okay, this is what's going on here. This is our plan strategically. Can we do this? And so forth. So clearly she was a visionary woman. She knew what she needed to do, but she also knew she needed to do the right way. So she didn't dishonor her husband or her father. She moved through the strategy with respect. She said to her husband, we need to go talk to my dad. It's so important that even as we move forward as women, that we respect lines of authority. We respect that there is order. We respect that there are ways about um, going about our femininity that don't undermine the masculinity of the men around us. I've been married for close to 40 years. It'll be 40 years in a few months. And there were times that I wanted to make decisions ahead and beyond my husband. But I knew that, even though they were good decisions, I knew that he needed to have a say. He needed to be able to know that this was not a me decision, this was a we decision. And there were many times he would say to me, well, just you go ahead and make it the decision. You know the situation better than I do. And I said, yeah, I do, but I want to at least give you a heads up. I want to make sure that we're in agreement, because sometimes kids can split you. You say something and say, oh, but dad said something else. So I would always keep him in the loop. And I would always let my kids know that this is not a me decision. This is a we decision. Your dad and I talked and we agreed that this is the way this is going to be. I remember one time one of my sons said to me, yeah, mom, you say we, but you really mean you. And I said, no, your dad really did talk to me about it. We did talk about it. But they kind of knew that in certain decisions in the household, really, it was more me than we. But my husband always knew that this was what was going on. Nothing was a surprise to him. We discussed things, and vice versa, the same thing with him. He wouldn't make a decision financially or something without first coming and saying, hey, honey, this is what's going on. Let's work on this together. So keep that in mind. Honor those who are there to help you. Respect the systems that you're in, whether that's personally or professionally. Blessings flows where honor goes. Okay, so when you are in a place of honoring the people around you, you're opening up streams of blessings for yourself. Ephesians 6:2 say, honor your parents so that it may go well with you. Okay, so that's the other point I want to make. I'm trying to go through. I have a little list here, and I want to go through a couple of points. The other point I want to make about AXA, AK, is she went to negotiate for those springs. She went prepared to negotiate for those springs. I think when we read it, we don't see that there's any real negotiating there. She went and she asked. She was assertive, not aggressive. She was clear on what it was she wanted. It was a very specific thing. She didn't whine about it. When asked directly to state what she wanted, she already knew what it was that she wanted. She didn't have to butter him up and do anything like that. It was clear. I need water. We need water. What I like to do is I like to look at the background or kind of imagine the story behind all of that. And when I look at the fact that she got the land as a dowry, that's a good thing. The dad sent her off in a way that was not, that was favorable. However, the reason she went back to her dad to get the water is because she must have had a bigger vision. Because again, the land would have been sufficient. She just wanted to put a house, she just wanted to put a tent on, she just wanted to live, but she had to have a bigger vision there. And because of that, I mean, what do you need water for? You need water if you're going to farm, if you're going to be agricultural, you're going to plow the field and do different things. And there's so many times women have a larger vision, but we need men in our lives who are usually our support system to support us in making that vision a reality. And you could get resentful about it, you could be upset about it, but instead of doing that, honor that system. Think about it. The fact that you even have people to ask these things of is such a blessing. Again, blessings flow where honor goes. You have to think about the systems that are surrounding you and how what you're doing is going to impact them. So she didn't whine. She went there, obviously with her husband's approval and support, and she asked what she needed, and she got heard by her dad. And I think that that probably also speaks to the relationship she already had with her dad. He probably saw that, oh, she's like I said, he already knew she was a prize. I have to imagine that raising her and growing up with her, she understood about strategy. She understood because Caleb, again, go back to the Bible, read about Caleb. Caleb was also a father who had a vision. When everybody said that they could not take the land, he went in there and says, no, we could do this. And then later on, when he was older, and everybody was, he still had not obtained his land. He was like, I'm still strong. I'm still going to go in there and do it. So she was raised under that kind of parenting. I was not raised with entrepreneurs. My mom was a hard worker. My dad was a hard worker, but they always worked for other people. So when I came into entrepreneurship, I didn't know who to look at. I wasn't sure. My husband's family had a lot of entrepreneurs, and I admired that. They were in construction and they did a lot of things on their own. But I didn't have that in my background. So I had nobody to really look at. So I had to kind of do this a little bit on my own. But my husband was a great supporter because there was entrepreneurs in his family. So when I said I wanted to go out and start my own private practice, he was my biggest cheerleader. I didn't think I could do it, but he thought I could do it. He said, yeah, I know the kind of person you are, Allison. You're hardworking, you're a visionary. You start with the dream, you start with the idea, and you make it a reality. And that confidence was like wind underneath my wings. And there were times I wanted to quit, like the first or second year when the money wasn't flowing yet. I'm like, oh, I just need to go back and work for somebody. He was the one who kept me in it. He's like, no, it's going to take a year or two to set things up. I've got the bills. I'm doing okay. You go ahead and you make this business run because I see what you're doing. So when you have family that's supporting you, they're not just supporting you because you're family. They're supporting you because they see the way you work. They've seen that you've worked hard before. They've seen that you're the prize. They've seen that you don't just sit there and dream. You have a vision, but you put a plan to it. You put a strategy to it. You put hard work behind it. You put your shoulder to the wheel and you keep going. So they see that and they want to invest in you. They may not have money to invest in you, but they can invest in you in encouragement. They can invest in you with resources, time, anything like that. So just kind of remember that. I think Axa, AK, she had that in Caleb, her father. So when he came back, there didn't have to be any real strong negotiating. She didn't have to explain to him why I need this land and what I'm going to do with it and how it's going to be done, or the water. I mean, he was like, my girl says she needs water. You got water, and not only one spring, you got two springs. All right, so there's a lot more that I could say here about this. There's a lot more to unpack, but I just want to leave you with that for today as a kind of a short message to say, if there's stuff that you need to move your vision forward, you need to open up your mouth and you need to ask, but you need to ask in the right way. Even as a woman, we don't have to be silent. We don't have to be silent waiting for people to give things to us. But we need to have a clear vision. You just can't come and say, give me. You have to say, this is the plan. This is the vision. This is how I plan on using the resources you're planning on putting in my hand. Have a vision. Look at your resources around you. Honor the strategy. Even going to get a position in your company, there's probably a process. Don't try to jump the process and bat your eyelids and flirt with somebody and higher up. I know I'm not speaking to anybody on this call, but part of your feminine wiles is your intelligence. It's your ability to connect with people. Is your ability to be relational. Women are so strong in that way. It's part of a feminine skill set that I think we have inherently. And if it's used properly, it could bring you double springs. Okay? So you don't have to play the man's game and be super aggressive. You're always going to lose at the man's game because you're not a man. Walk in the direction God has called you in terms of the gender He's given you. There's a lot of strength. There's one of my favorite scenes from a movie called My Big Fat Greek Wedding is where the main character is trying to get the main character's aunt, when she's down and she feels she's not going to get ahead because it's such a patriarchal society. The Greeks, the family that she loves, but she knows it's very patriarchal, and she knows she has to work within it to move forward. And the aunt, it's so funny, says to her, well, the man is the head. I mean, she's not trying to break down the system and uh, uh, in feminist, going forward as a strong feminist. She says, no, the man's the head, but we're the neck. And I love that. And I've always remembered it because there's so much power in the neck. There's so much power in the neck. Why are we putting that aside? Respect the neck, ladies. It's okay. You don't have to be here. You're the neck. The head needs you. We look pretty odd without a neck. So respect that and enjoy it and just kind of embrace it. And there are wonderful ways to embrace that because God has provided that for us. All right, ladies, that's where I'm going to end today. I'm going to try to be more faithful on Fridays. It's going to be faith, family, and focus Fridays. I am going to try to respect people's time and just do some short snippets. I'm going to tell me what your thoughts are on this and tell me what your thoughts are on maybe doing a series of little-known women in the Bible who really address some of the issues we're finding today with some of our young women. All right? We have so much influence, ladies, and it could be used for good or it could be used for evil. I would prefer us to use it for good because our partners, our spouses are depending on us. It's tough being a man. I know we hear it's tough being a woman, but it's tough being a man too. And they need supportive women in their lives. We need supportive men in our lives. And we are, the hand that rocks the cradle, rules the world. These hands are important. So let's rock this cradle in a way that is mindful of the strength that we have so that we're raising strong men and strong women. Okay? Our girls don't need to become boys to be strong. Okay? Our girls need to harvest the power of their femininity. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you disagree with me. It's okay. You could disagree with me just respectfully. But get back to your Bible. Get back to your word. You will see there's so much strength in femininity. But if you'd like me to do a series, I've got like 5 other gals that have really influenced me, all in the Bible. And they've influenced me to embrace my femininity with strength and wisdom. Thank you so much, Relaxing Pool. I see a comment, great biblical advice that lets me know that I'm being heard. Thank you. I was kind of wondering if this is even coming across. And thank you also for Sophia O. I appreciate it. Come back. I'm doing something new, and I appreciate the support. I pray that everything I say would be in alignment with God's word all the time. That's what I seek to do, and all this will be encouraging and uplifting because we have God has given us so much strength and so much value, and it just breaks my heart when I see young ladies and young women and even older women not embrace that value. It saddens me. It really breaks my heart. And there's a way to do it, and there's a way to do it that honors God and honors yourself. So, anyhow, with that said, let me see if I know how to even end this live stream because that's another big deal. Okay, God bless everyone. I'm going to put on the outro. Let's see what do I have to click? I'm going to click right here. If you found value in today's live stream, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment of wisdom, strategy, or real talk. Want even more? I drop content regularly over. Okay, I don't know how to do this. Okay, I'm just going to end this live stream. Listen, please like, share, and subscribe if this is of any value to you. And again, let me know in the comments if you appreciate me doing some more just short takes on some of the women of the Bible that have been very encouraging. God bless you. If you found value in today's live stream, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment of wisdom, strategy, or real talk. Want even more? I drop content regularly over on Substack, devotionals, insights, and practical tools to keep you grounded and growing. The link is in the description, so be sure to check it out and subscribe there too. Thank you again for hanging out with me. Until next time, stay focused, stay faithful, and keep showing up.